Okay, so I am back on a live after a long time because a live wasn't possible and now suddenly it is. So I'm most pleased about it. And today I want to try out Brewstraw's Studio Fold. I've already tried it actually out here. I've made a Father's Day card that is up the alley, up my husband's alley, because he's a sports guy and he's been so instrumental in getting my kids to enjoy sports, not one type of sport but lots of sports. So I had made this using these cards, and I wanted to make another one for my dad. So I want to definitely show you these cards. These are a pack of 10 folded cards that come with envelopes. They are 5 by 7 inches, so that's like a perfect card size. Okay, so here's one. It's a really nice product because I've been looking for this. I've really been looking for something that is a package, like you get the card and the envelope. When I normally make my cards, I take a normal watercolor paper, fold it and make it, and then I don't have an envelope, so I have to make an envelope or look for an envelope. So I really like it that we finally have a lovely product that can be used so conveniently. So I'm going to take one card and envelope out of this pack and illustrate today the second card, which is for my dad, and I will show you how we can keep things simple, not very difficult. So this year I've basically stuck to interests and hobbies and things like that. So that's a great idea for a Father's Day card. And my dad was very instrumental in my learning to use tools around the house. When I say tools, tools to fix things around the house. So electric stuff, a lot of electric stuff actually. So even though I was a girl and um, a lot of the older generation did not think a girl needed to know these things. I learned it because my dad did it, and he never stopped us from trying to make fixes around the house. So Christmas time, setting up lights, making sure that bulbs had to be changed, wires had to be changed, putting a set of lights in parallel, in series, all of this was something I loved to do because I used to watch my dad do, and I thought that would make a great card today. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, this is my card, this is how it opens out, and you can choose to keep your card in portrait orientation so that it opens out this way, or of course landscape. So we can do, since I've already done one in landscape, I thought maybe we could do this in portrait orientation. Alright, so before we start any card, remember to check, because this has happened to me too many times to count, where I've gone and just gone ahead and started drawing and not realized it's the other way around. So please check. It doesn't hurt to check many times. First thing to do, we're going to use a center space to write Happy Father's Day. And you can write it in whatever font you want. I like to place the text inside some sort of a line marking, like give myself a marking for the line. So somewhere here in the center, that's my Father's Day word, Father. So what font to use, really you can do what you want. I was thinking maybe lettering this time, so something like this, let's say so I'm just writing this out in pencil. I will go over it in watercolor. This is hand lettering. Father's Day. I'm going to just maintain that line on top and at the bottom. happy. So we can put the P in between. P Y, happy. Father's Day. So DAY, A comes right here in the center. I'm not going for a very professional looking card. This is just casual stuff, nothing too difficult. Okay, that's done. Now let's start with the tools. Now, what tools to create, that's really up to you. I looked on Pinterest for, handyman tools, and this is what I got. So I've got pliers and screwdrivers and a whole lot of tools. Let me try to bring in some of these into our page, and what I'm trying to do is make sure that I bring all the elements in from the borders, right? So there's two approaches. You can choose to do that, or you can give this Father's Day some sort of a shape, and let's say a border. So suppose you decide that you want to have a border like this, something that's oval, some sort of a shape. That's really up to you. Then you can have all your elements coming out from behind. That means from the center, imagine they are all radiating outwards. That's another option. Okay. I prefer not to do that. I'm going to just do the out to in approach. All right. So let's start putting in a few things. So long elements, I like to put thin things first, or even fat things first. Really doesn't matter. Spanner. And some of these things are definitely going to escape the page a little bit. So that's a good thing. It's not bad. We don't need to make the entire image. Of course you can. If they are small images, you probably will be able to fit it all in the page. If you can, well and good. If you can't, it's okay if it escaped the sides, the borders. Okay, that's one. Then what else? Definitely a hammer. So let's put a hammer in here, and I've got this claw hammer. I love the shape of a claw hammer. And a little patch here, and after that it kind of narrows a bit and then becomes a straightish tool. Okay, so that's your hammer. What else? I'm going to just turn around my card to fit another one here. I'm thinking this time we could go in for a screwdriver. So screwdriver can be somewhere here. Let's start with a flat top. Yeah, a flat top, curve it in a little bit like this, make a long neck, followed by a little wedge, followed by a larger one, and then you have this shapely handle, which is our very ubiquitous screwdriver handle, right? Something like this. And what I like about this is you can add a little effect, those little grooves that come on the screwdriver. You can do that, right? So that's one. Now, how about a plier? A plier is a nice one. So suppose I want to draw a plier. Can make it a flat top plier like this. Flat, and then it has this long shape. Okay, then some sort of crinkling over here, followed by an outward shape. Okay, so this part is where you will find this kind of a, have you seen this? Something like this. Okay, so once this is done, then you can start that the handle, which is such a distinct shape. It goes like this, and it is a little thick, so you can do this. Yeah, that looks like a plier. Not bad. Then there is actually, you know what? Since we have the this is the spanner. I'm not very happy with my spanner. I think my spanner's become a little too disproportionate. So I'm going to just change that a little bit. I'm going to make the spanner a little less curvy, and yeah. So what you could do is, since you have a spanner, you can make a few sizes of spanners, because very often boxes have multiple sizes. So if you want a larger one, a smaller one, these are things you can do. So arrange them in, since it's a little haphazard, you can arrange them like this. So make a smaller spanner, and you remember spanners being double-sided. That means the other side has got a slightly bigger or a slightly smaller spanner. So you can do that. I prefer turning this around. I'll make it slightly bigger. So let's do this. Yeah. Can't really make out if it's it's okay. So one more thing we can do about the spanner with the spanner is again, I think I'm becoming too thin with the center. So let's make it a little fatter. Now by making it a slightly fatter center, you have the space to put a groove. You know, these grooves are so classic on so many generic tools. We see these grooves. It's nice to include all this information. Okay, what else? Another something long, something that's long. Okay, how about we put in a saw? I know a saw is rather. So what we'll do with the saw is we can do it. There's not much space here, so maybe we can put a saw at the bottom. Let's put it in. I don't want to bring the saw entirely in, so let's put it this way, down, and then you have this jagged edge that becomes a little wide. It ends, so our saw is not going to fit in here, but that's fine, doesn't matter. It ends over here, and then it has its own handle which kind of sticks out this way. Yeah, that looks like a saw, although the serration on the saw is a little dramatic. We don't need such severe teeth. We could go a little gentler with the teeth. Comical it would look. Still, it's an illustration and we don't want to worry too much about it. What else can be included? We can have a cutter, a box cutter. So basically a shape like this. Comes out like this. Maybe I'm making it too big. And it has this double section. Now inside of this box shape is a wedge. It goes down and you can actually have one black knob. Okay, now how do I finish this off? I finish it with a something like this, and then at the base I can make it a little bulky, you know, something like this little triangular thing. Yeah, looks a bit funny, I know, but that's good enough, does the job. Okay, you can have a little bit of that cutter sticking out, and these cutters have lines, so if you want to include those lines, go ahead and do just that. Put in those lines. Okay, cutter done. What else? Allen key. Yes, Allen key is nice. We can have a set of Allen keys. So very simple, L-shaped keys like this. Again, they come in sizes, so you could put a few of them like this. Okay, so Allen key is there. What else? What other tools can we include? A tape measure, for sure. A tape measure. I'm looking for a nice picture of a tape measure. You know, the round ones. They look like this, I think. Maybe we can have it here. Shall I? Yeah, I'll put it here because this is getting crowded. So I'll put something like this, a curvy thing. It's on its side, so we're going to have to do it this way. Usually a tape measure has something sticking out here, and then you have this line, this thing going out and a little bit of a bend. It has an internal shape like this, often. Tape measure. Yeah. What else? Those adjustable, I'm trying to think of those adjustable um, wrenches, not wrench, what is it? Spanner, adjustable spanner. That's a very nice one. I'll put it here because spanners are all here. Maybe here, maybe here. Yeah. So it looks like this, and the box comes this way, roundish, and yeah, and then it goes down in. So now I'm not worried about the rest of it, but I do want to include that little adjustable element. See that thing here? That's a really nice thing to add. And it also, yeah, so that's not bad. Okay, what else? A few bolts. We can definitely put in some bolts. So round with a little bit of a boxy, and here we can add a little bit of shape, maybe one more, a hexagonal shape inside. We can definitely have some screws, a few lying right down here, screws, nuts and bolts. Okay, what else? Small things, and what else can we add? Oh yeah, what about a drill? So we can include a drill, and maybe here's a good place to include a drill. Somewhere here we could include, so let's start backwards. This is where I have to be careful because we want to get the front of the drill, right? So if you're looking at the front of the drill, there is this shape that goes somewhat like this. Oh, that doesn't look nice. A little bit triangular, and after that you have this portion like this, which has a whole lot of lines. Then what else? And there will be something little bigger under it, and then it will kind of expand into this long thing, yeah, with a few lines and things like that. Now unfortunately I can't draw the rest of it, but I hope that looks like a drill, with its little knob over here. Who knows? Now we can go on to something else. What else? I'm all up for ideas if you have any. Yes, the vernier caliper thing. If you remember your physics, there is this tool that's used for measuring the thickness of a pipe, right? So this is what I understand. So it looks like this, and this adjustable part here, it kind of moves, up and down. So it's got this movable element here. I'm getting too technical with this, so I should just leave this as it is. So that's the tool. I could use with one more small sized manner. Okay, already a lot of elements. Now the only thing left is something here and something here, and I think we should be fine. So one last, a brush. There's nothing wrong with having a brush. So I could put the brush over here, boxy brush, maybe here. This is probably a better place. So when I say boxy brush, something like this. So you have these bristles, right? And then you have this shape over here. And this kind of a handle. So okay, what else? Brush. Last set of tools. Maybe I could include another a set of wires. Why did I not think of this? So wires can be a mess, and so you can have these wires like this. They go in, out, in. I should have included some electrical stuff. So for example, I worked so much with these 2-pin. You know these? Yeah, I worked with those a lot. So I used to love doing that. And then there'd be some tape. Have you seen those tapes? They come like this. They're those black things that stick out. It's all black in here. What else? Now a few knickknacks, and that's it. We should be spirit level. How about a spirit level? Yeah, maybe a spirit level. So spirit level could come here. But how would we show the spirit level? I'm looking for something else then. Maybe here. So let's bring this in. Okay. Bit of something here. Now for the spirit level you have circles. One circle, one square, and inside of this is some sort of a liquid. It doesn't make sense if you look at it this way, but if you were to see it, once you put the green color, I think everyone will know that it is a spirit level. And finally, something for this corner. A little something. Okay, how about some protective glasses? So they look like this. My dad didn't use any protective glasses, so this is just new stuff. I don't think most dads used any sort of protective gear when doing housework. Okay, alright, good enough. That's it. I am going to now run my fine liner over this. I may need to add a few more bolts over here, just to make things look nice. So maybe one here. Make sure you put a hexagon inside. If you want a slight thickness, you could also have a larger nail and have those lines drawn on them. Even here maybe. Yep, done. Let's ink this quickly. You can make some changes to this, like for example, I think this could be a little longer, so it would look nice if you made that change while you're and inside is that groove, which I love. I love these grooves. When we color them, we're going to make them a little darker. Then comes this. Some small screws. I could put a few more. So you can put even those long pin-like things, or flat pins, whatever works. A few of these. Then let's do this. And while we're doing this, if you feel you want to make a tape close by, like the actual side of the tape that you can see, you can do that too. Okay. None of this has to be very perfect, as long as you can understand what you are drawing and it looks somewhat like the tool or the implement you want to show. That's good enough. Bring this a little higher, that a little lower. So you will find me making these adjustments as I go. There are some few changes which are okay, fairly quick. I could have included one more plier, right? It's looking like just now this one I will just put a bit like this. I don't want to make it thick. In fact, even this used to be like headlines. So many old memories. There used to be these heat vents on my dad's drill bit. Not drill bit, the drill itself. Okay, this one's not looking great. I'm going to make a slight change. I don't like the way it is sticking out there, so I'm going to just do this. Yeah. A fat one. Now this goes quite fast, right? If you're doing this, I promise you this part is really fast. There's not much thinking anymore. You've drawn most of it. Unless you're making some changes, entire changes, really this is it. Now these are not very colorful things, to be very honest. Tools are not very colorful. It's the handle that will be the most colorful part of any tool. So some of these handles we will have to make them a little bright so that our tool looks nice. There was a time when dads really did a lot around the house. in terms of fixing things, and not just small things, you know, so many things. A leaky tap, fans, so many things. And it was quite normal. Like, you didn't call electrician simply. It's only if my dad really could not do it for some reason would we call electrician or a plumber, because he could do so much. I'll put a little bit over here. Yeah, that looks better. Okay, so the brushes, we can make a little bit of a bristle here. Let's make it a little wider. Okay, we are down to this. We are not making instruments that need to be technically very perfect, because hopefully no one's sitting and analyzing the accuracy of your illustration. And that's it. Okay, I will now, oh, the wires. So I think maybe I should go easy on these wires with a smaller size brush. Do I have a smaller, sorry, smaller size 10? Yeah, I have a 0.1. Change to 0.1 because 0.5 may be too thick for these wires. And in any case, I want to add some color to the wire. So if I make it too thick, it's going to be very challenging to put those. Now, how do we know these are wires? Good question. How do we know that? Maybe we should put a little bit coming in like this. Yeah, maybe that makes sense. Wires are done. Now let's write the happy. I'll be a little careful. Write it as neatly as I can. Just capitals. It's always very easy and very neat. Now the word fathers, I am going to color in with pencil color. With watercolor. Okay, out with the trusty watercolor set. Where is it? Where are my watercolors? Yeah, there you go. Now there's going to be a lot of gray, simply because there's going to be a lot of metal. So to show the metal, we have to use gray, and I think maybe we could start with the grays right off. I will start with all the grays, and that will help me determine where I can add the color. So I have black here on my palette, which I'm going to really dull down to a nice gray. And let's start with all the grays. Okay, before I do all this, I should probably erase my pencil marks before they get painted over. So just a gentle rub across all of this. Where's my eraser? Oh yeah, I do have a kneadable eraser is probably better. this is definitely better. Yeah, I'm going to just rub this along. Takes away all the pencil marks, like here. See, we have a lot of pencil marks here where I did a bunch of corrections. Yeah, nice to take them off, because then it's just making the whole thing neat. Don't want these lines. The lines will actually go off even later. I can erase over watercolor, but let's keep it absolutely minimal. Yeah, okay. Having done that, tap off for any extra shavings, and let's get back to that gray. So here's my gray, and I'm just going to check it out before I start painting with it. Happens to me often where I make a mistake with the shade, it becomes too dark and things like that. So let's look for a piece of scrap paper. Is this scrap enough? Yeah, that's good enough. So what all are gray? This part of the pliers gray, then the box cutter is gray here. Screws are all gray. You don't have any color on them, they're all metal. Just a mild coloring. See, that's the thing with these things. You can't really add a whole lot of color. Screwdriver is definitely gray. Spanner, any type of spanner will be gray. Now you could leave a few white spots to show the shine, or the, you know, the grooves on an instrument. That is a consideration, but we can also do that later, where we add it as a darker, like the shine of course you add, but maybe the darker gray for a little bit of shading. Okay, what else? These are a little bit gray. Then there is this. So these what are these? I keep forgetting the terms. Spanners. These spanners are all going to be gray. They are entirely gray. There's no handle on this, so steel will look like, or iron, steel or iron, whatever. It's these. Some of these materials are not steel. Now this, for the blade, I'll use a little slightly bigger brush and just run my brush along the, what is with this? Sorry, wasn't picking up enough water. Why am I being I think the water in my jar is too low. Yeah, that's the problem. Okay, change. Allen keys are gray. So much is gray. So much. Really gonna have to do something to brighten up this card. So much. This is gray. Okay, that's a lot of gray. Next is now the handles. That's where you can have a little bit of fun. So the hammer, whatever type of hammer it is usually wood. Usually you do get colored hammers, but nice to have a little bit of wood. So I'm going to just put in a bit of yellow ochre, and we're keeping all of this quite simple, so don't worry too much about mixing many colors. No, just keep it simple. So a little bit of brown on one side. It has a wooden feel. Little bit on the top, Yeah, that should do it. There, that's wooden. Now the other thing that's wooden is any other wooden parts? No, that's about it. We have one more gray I missed, and that is this portion. I think I'm gonna find a few more grays I missed like this on the way. This part is gray. How about green? We definitely have a nice bright fluorescent green in the um, in our words are skipping really. Spirit level. So this is a very nice one. You can definitely showcase the spirit level. And because that's green, we could take a darker green and put in the handle. As it turns out, the spirit level that I looked at was this kind of a funny shade. Yeah. And then it had a body that was again gray. So I'm going to just put in a little bit of gray. Yeah. Wires. Wires can be a little colorful. So I know for a fact they are like red. So we could have one that's red coming out from somewhere here, going somewhere here, a red wire, and a green wire. And even a blue wire. So wires are really, really bright. I have seen blue, I've seen yellow. So you can put all of those, just make it interesting. Feel a little bit of yellow will add to that the goodness. Yeah, go ahead, put the yellow. Yeah, definitely. So wires are done. I can put a little bit of yellow ochre on this. I don't know really what that color is, so I could just leave it that way. The handle on this saw could be like a blue. How about that? Let's put a bluish, dark blue, like ultramarine sort of color for this portion. Okay, and that could be just the handle. The next one could be like a dark black or a darker gray. Let's put it that way. Yeah, probably looks better. Yeah, that's nice. Then we have this handle. Shall we make it a little brighten things up? I'll put a red. Bristles are often white, by the way. The bristles of these brushes are surprisingly white. Now this one can be a little darker. I'm thinking all the grays are pretty much the same shade, so maybe we can darken it a bit. Yeah. Turn over. Now a little bit of shading would be nice because our could have a little bit of shading here and a little bit of shading on this piece where the second part is a little darker. Okay, I'm going to do something similar even here because I'm starting to feel like these are not getting any yeah, that's all we can do. turn it around. So it's not going to be very colorful. I'm going to definitely have to give some color here. Let's think of yellow with a little red. Yeah, why not? No, yellow with so let's see, we could put a yellow like those testers. You remember those testers when anytime they wanted to check the Christmas lights, there would be the testers. Of course, it's not a tester, but this one can be green, you know, body. There's a lot of tools by Stanley, the company Stanley, that are yellow and black. So if you feel that that is a good choice, you could consider putting black in the center here. That's not a bad idea. Alright, shall we give this some bright color too? Maybe an orange. So these are all the opportunities you've got. Just about that's it. That's all the opportunities you have to add some color to your illustration. So make sure it's bright. And if you want dual tone, things like that, you can definitely do that. So I'm also going to do the same yellowish shade here. Yeah, I use a bigger brush, a fatter brush rather. Let's paint that up. Like the Stanley tools, and the body here, and then there's got to be some black. Finally, we have one plier. We could do something interesting with this plier, maybe a maroonish or a dark, maybe a maroonish. Yeah, looks nice. Definitely some color. Great. Now a few small details here and there. The blacks, the darker blacks have to definitely come in. Not too dark, but definitely darker than the gray. So one place that will come in is here. See? They're not very big, but they are there. This is another portion. Black and Decker will need a little bit of black here. Not too dark, it's getting too dark. And a little bit here, because that's the I can't call it trigger. Can I call it a trigger? Maybe not. Then there is some black. Then there is some black over here. A little bit here. And since we're going with the Stanley tools, black here. I first thought of making it nice and bright, but then I remembered the Stanley tools. Stanley tools are all yellow and black. A little bit here. Darken this portion. This part can be a little bit illustrative. So like for example, if you want to put the shape of some sort of a insignia or some sort of a border, this is a nice place to do that because it's nice and open. You could do something. Okay, now these glasses are not very great in terms of color, so what I'm going to do is take a hint of blue, maybe cerulean blue or some very light hint of blue, watery shade, and just put in some shades, quite literally. The handles can be dark, this is fine. Yeah, that's about it. What else? Any more blacks? Yes, there's a little bit of yellow ochre I could put over here for the tape. This is just, you can see my application of paint is so light. I really am using mostly my size 0 or size 2 brush, and see, We could have made that a colorful tape, right? I'm just now thinking it need not have been black. Yeah, okay. So not as colorful as my earlier sports card, but um definitely in keeping with the theme. We've got most of the items here. Now we could make the Father's Day, the word fathers, a little colorful, because then you have some something to um, make the whole thing a little brighter. So I'm thinking perhaps a blue. Dad's like blues, but what blue? Shall we go with the ultramarine type? Okay, I'll try ultramarine. Or maybe we can, yeah, ultramarine blue. A light version and a dark version, something like that. Or is blue an entirely wrong color? I'm not sure. Could do green also. Green and blue is a good combination. But that'll look funny, right? Okay, let's go with blue. Since I've got this out, paint is ready. Size 0 brush, just check that everything is dry. If it is not dry, put something on it before you start putting your hand on it. Yeah, better. Now, I have to use my size 0 for this, because otherwise I won't get the thickness and the thinness that I'm looking to achieve with the letters. So, okay, so some thickness here. Again, this is not calligraphy. This is just hand lettering. Now, while it is wet, I like putting a little bit of shading. And the shading is basically the same color, the same blue, but a darker shade of it, that's all. So I put it here at the base of every letter while it is still wet. Going back to this is a thick stroke. I need to thicken it. It's become too thick. So mistakes like this happen often. Thicken that stroke. Thick stroke here again. There is some control to be exercised here. Okay, very quickly with the dark color. I think my letters are already getting getting dry. Yeah, they are. They are definitely getting dry. Okay. There's the blue. is the Father's Day. Somehow I feel like this one, the fact that it doesn't have as much color as my earlier one is driving me a little crazy, and it's too bad because instruments are this way. You can't really do much. Nonetheless, the card does its job. Okay, that's my Father's Day card. This is definitely looking too dark. I need to pick it up. Pick up a little paint here. Looking a little too dark. Yeah. So that's my card. I'm going to let it dry, and it'll go into this envelope. And I hope my dad likes it. He should. I hope so. Let's see. I'm going to write a little note in there. That's it. Thanks everyone for joining me. It's very simple to make cards like this. If you know the theme that you want to go with and you have some sort of a reference photo from which you can take inspiration. Like I said, in this case I was looking at handyman tools, stuff like that. But if you wanted, I was actually toying with the idea of an instrument, series of instruments, because my dad also taught me a lot of music, so that would have been just as wonderful. So if you want to add in a few shadows and stuff, please do. So it just makes it a little better, a wee bit better. Just be careful. Wet paint is disaster. Sometimes disaster waiting to happen. So be careful. Add all your nuances carefully. Yeah. All right. And a happy Father's Day to all the wonderful fathers out there who show us so much, who teach us so much. And I really feel like we don't give them the credit enough for all the quiet things we learn from our fathers. So it is often their interest that inspire interest in us. So you have to give credit where credit is due. So here you go. That's it. Thanks for joining me, and hope to see you on a live sooner than later. Bye everyone.